Good evening. My name's Vicki Pulis. It's my pleasure to welcome you to our webinar about business planning for Rotary Clubs, taking your vision to action. So it is my pleasure to introduce our presenters for this evening. First of all, our district chairs for business planning for Rotary Clubs and for visioning. From the Rotary Club of Minden, we have Bob Connor. From the Rotary Club of Auburn, we have Barbara Bisana.
Hi.
And then also joining us tonight as a presenter from the Rotary Club of Loyalton is District Governor-elect Gail Virus Ellingwood. We have a wealth of knowledge and experience with these presenters, these three presenters, and among other Rotary responsibilities, all three of them have been assistant governor, and in fact Bob continues to serve as an AG. So thank you, the three of you. We're so pleased to have each of you with us tonight to share this exciting new program.
Hello, Bob and Stephanie. This is DGE Gail Virus Ellingwood here. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us for this webinar on business planning for clubs. The purpose of the graphic on your screen is to give you a context for business planning for clubs in relationship to visioning. So one of you knows about visioning and the other one said that they hadn't participated in a visioning. Hopefully you've heard something about it, but we're going to sort of give you the ground up view of this so you don't need any prior knowledge. Business planning for Rotary clubs is not really anything new. In a real sense, for those clubs who have successfully implemented visioning, and those words are very important, okay, successfully implemented visioning, many of them have completed part or all of this continuous process. But as you can imagine, not everyone successfully implements visioning, so now we have a new tool at the district level that's going to help us help clubs be successful with visioning through business planning for Rotary clubs. The process begins with a visioning or strategic plan. So as you can see in number 1, your club takes the results of a current or recent, within perhaps 3 years, visioning, or if they've gone through some other strategic planning process, they take the results of that and they contact the committee to conduct a business planning for Rotary clubs. A goal is selected for implementation in step 2. So if you have had a visioning recently, this is fairly easy. If your visioning occurred 2 to 3 years ago, it will be necessary for the club to agree that a particular goal or goals are still relevant. That doesn't have to be a painful process either, and we can help you with that. Moving on to step 3, the selected goal is broken down into specific, measurable projects to facilitate achieving that goal. This is easy enough to do as part of the visioning process itself. However, this is where a lot of clubs falter after having a visioning conducted. And this is why the district is so excited about providing a team to assist the clubs to move the visioning forward through a real implementation. Finally, in step 4, the project or projects, again, remember that the project or projects are related to a single goal, they are subject to further chunking down into tasks where timelines and accountability are assigned. And as you can imagine, this is where the rubber meets the road. The Vision to Action team partners with the club for an evening of very directed and specific work to provide the foundation for the club to replicate the process for whatever goals and projects they may come up with in the future. So the great thing about this is that once your club is trained in this, you can use it to attack any goal that comes up. You don't need to go through BPC again. You just use the process and the data that's been provided to you. Just a little side note here, because of the importance of membership to all of our clubs, the team will usually start the evening with a membership goal to begin the training, since it's something that is really translatable across all clubs. Then the team moves on to other goals and projects that are selected by your club officers and chairpersons. By the time the evening is over, a club will be skilled in performing the process on its own. And now I'd like to pass this on to Bob Connor to provide some additional details.
Thank you, Gail. As DGE Gail just pointed out, the prerequisite is that you have done a visioning or other strategic planning for your club within the past 3 years. The 3-year time frame is to be assured you have the most current information on your club goals, but as she just pointed out, it's easy enough to go back and review those and make sure that everybody is in agreement with what you did even 4 or 5 years ago. After the visioning and strategic planning, you'll work with your other club members, as you remember the wheel, to refine the visions into achievable goals. And we are here to assist you in this process with this new tool for business planning for clubs. All you have to do is give us a email or phone call, and we will start the process and action to make sure that our vision to action team can be there to help you out. This is offered at no cost to your club, and it's done at your location. It's just a service that we provide as the district membership or leadership. And then the final thing that I would like to point out on this one, RI President Luis Vicente Gea, who was RI President in 1996 to 97, commented that action without vision is wasted, and vision without action is just a dream. And with that, I will turn it over to Barbara Basana to continue.
Thanks, Bob. Before I get started on the purpose, I just want to talk to you a little bit about why should my club do business planning. So Bob and Stephanie, have you ever done a strategic plan for your business or in your personal life?
For business, of course.
Business, right. Well, visioning is much like that. But the thing with visioning is it doesn't take you all through the process. That is left to the clubs. I want to give you an example of Auburn Rotary Club. Bob, I think you were there when I was president. Is that correct? Or did you leave before?
I was.
Okay. Well,
when you were president.
Well, we did visioning the year before that. And what happened is we had another president, and in the process, after the visioning, she was asked, okay, so now what do we do with this? So she puts it on the shelf and she goes, oh, Barbara's going to do that in her year. So essentially, that's one of the things that we realized when we went back to do visioning follow-up with our clubs, was that many times the clubs were really excited about the visioning process. They got the group together, they had awesome goals, and they looked at that continuity and that commitment and consensus. The problem was that the goals did not turn into actions, and so sometimes the visioning wasn't completed and the club did not meet their goals. So that's one reason why your club might want to do business planning. So let's look at the visioning and survey results that your club has agreed upon. When we look at the club's visioning goals, we also look at where the club is currently. As Bob and Gail said, it's very important to look like, have some of those goals been achieved? Are they still relevant? So this might be, for example, we had a goal when I was president that we wanted to send 5 students to RILA. So we wanted to look at that under youth services and see if that had been achieved. It had not, so that was still a goal that was relevant and had not yet been achieved. So that's an example of how you might compare your visioning goals to your club goals. Then we help you learn how to move from the goals and to projects, and then help you to refine the projects into one or more action plans so that you can help implement and plan your goals. Next, the visioning and survey results are reviewed in conjunction with the goals, and we help you relate that to a repeatable process. So let's look at the process. As Gail and Bob said in the previous slides, we help you train to create a repeatable framework. We will show you how to set up and look at the goals that you want to achieve, how to set those up in projects, and how to develop actions that are broken down that can be achieved by your club. When you get together and engage our team to set up the visioning, the business planning process, you will decide with your club officers and your chairs which goals and which projects that you want to work on. We will choose one that we work you through step by step. From there, you'll take the goal that you choose and work through that to set up your projects for that goal and the tasks that are related to it. We will use the visioning and club planning process to create your action plan, to assign dates to achieve your actions and the people responsible for that, as well as any budget related to that. We will help you develop those skills in creating and writing your action plan so that your club can turn your vision into action.
With that background, we're going to show you a couple of steps in the vision to action plan using the Fiction Rotary Club of California, Nevada. And one of the goals was it was going to do more youth service activities. The goal was to form an Interact Club at the local high school, but how do you do that? So the project is, we're going to do this, but how do we accomplish it? We need to get a club manager or project manager who is a club member, and then determine what tasks are necessary. So please keep that in mind, because the next slides are going to be showing you the process you will be going through at the business planning meeting. We start out with a worksheet showing some definitions of what a vision and a goal, a project, etc. are. We have to select a project manager, and we had one of our members step up and said she would be the project manager. She's currently the club secretary. We have the name of the club in the district and what the project name is. And then what are the intended results of the project? And as you can see, we've listed that they're trying to get an Interact Club started at the local high school and support them in their formation, as well as working on their projects, as well as having them assist us in our community service projects. So the next step is you still keep the project name. What is the first task that we have in mind? And that is, first thing we need to do is contact the high school to see if they're even open to this and set up a relationship with them. So we want to talk to the principal. We've set a timeline of before school starts, but you may even want to start that as early as the previous spring so he has time to do some planning before the new school year. We've only given it a couple of weeks in there because we should be able to get in and talk to the principal within that time frame and see what else we need to do. We have who's going to be the lead member. We've had some other club members step forward and say, hey, I want to help you with that. And then for non-members, we have a school counselor and a faculty advisor maybe and a vice principal involved. But because this is a preliminary process, you can see that there is no budget for that. This is just a meet and greet, and there's not going to be any budgetary ideas. The next one is what the worksheet would look like. And there are several tasks. So this one doesn't have a task number on it, but we would assign one. And there's probably several tasks that we need to do after we meet the principal and get his buy-in or her buy-in into forming the Interact Club and having him help us and assist in finding a faculty advisor. And after we do that, and then probably the next step down the road, and I've got it labeled as number 4, is we probably need to recruit some high school students to form the club. So we've set about a month time frame on that to have them come in and look at it. Sue is still going to be the lead, and the other members are agreeing to help with all of that, as well as the non-members. But this one, you'll notice we put a budget in there. Food is always a good attraction, I found, for high school students. So we have some pizza and soft drinks and maybe some cookies and candy for afterwards. And it's just to introduce them into what is Interact, what does it do, and how can they continue with that in as their project. And since the session is kind of interactive, although we haven't heard too much, we hope we've answered some of your questions, but please feel free to put some of your questions out there, or just chime right in. And this is the point for that, is for any other questions you might have, or if we've totally lost you on this.
So, Bob, I'd like to just elaborate a little bit on who participates in this process.
Please do.
This is Gail, and if you have, neither one of you have participated in a visioning, but in a visioning we encourage as many members from the club as possible to be there. We ask that there be diversity in the club, that you have newer members, older members, that you have people who have long tenure in Rotary and not so long tenure in Rotary. The business planning for clubs process is a little bit different. So you might get some pushback if you've recently done a visioning. You might get some pushback from your membership saying, well, we just spent 4.5 hours doing visioning. Why do we have to do this again? In this process, we really want to engage your club officers and your club chairs. So it's a much smaller group, and it's a much more informal session where we sit down at a table and go through all of this. So just so that you understand, when you're talking about this, there is kind of a quantifiable difference in the way that this is approached with your club, because you already have the data from a visioning or a strategic plan, and it's really the officers and the people who are driving the club who are involved in this process. Though others are not precluded, it means that you might get a little less resistance from your club to spend another 3 to 4 hours doing this. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. I have a question. When we did club visioning, we had a champion or a chair assigned to that visioning. Now, obviously in our case, they didn't necessarily take it off the shelf, but in the business planning process, can you explain who would take the lead on that after the evening was done? Or would you like me to expand on
Sure,
that?
I'd like. I'll take a shot at it and then jump in, okay?
Okay.
The beauty of this process is that it's a drill down, and it really gets into the details of who is going to do what when. So as you saw those sheets that Bob provided, one of those is filled out for every single project. And the actions are quite specific, and the assignees are quite specific, and the dates are quite specific. There needs to be someone who is keeping the notebook, if you would, whether they're doing it, online in an Excel spreadsheet or just a regular spiral notebook, because as you'll see at the bottom of the forms, it says task completed. And that can't happen until the people who are assigned have completed those actions, and there's a time. So someone needs to keep track of the time and what's happening. There might be an administrator, or perhaps it's the secretary of the club.
Great. And Gail, the other thing that I thought of for the attendees is that your club, remember, this is a tool for you, and we are here to help you, and you can manage it and coordinate it what works best for your club. But you can also set up a kind of a tiered approach where your committee or chairs or board members have their sections of a goal and the projects underneath that, and they report up to the champion or your secretary or somebody who's tracking it in the larger frame. so that it could be shared and celebrated. A really important thing. You want to celebrate each of your successes.
So we do have a question. The question is from Stephanie. She says she's president-elect of her club, and she wants to know when would they do visioning as a club. Maybe you could talk a little bit about the visioning process and when that would occur.
I'll go ahead and try to answer that one. The best time to do that is probably any time between now and the 1st of July. So you have a chance to see what the club is looking for, to how they want to move forward over the next 3 to 5 years, and have you as the president coming in have a list of goals aligned and set up for you to accomplish as you're moving forward into your year, and those will be set up to where after you complete your year, the next president can continue with it and the next, and so on.
So how would Stephanie manage that process with her current club president?
Thank you, Vicki. I'll jump in here just for a moment. One of the things that has worked well with some of the clubs that we've worked with is that they do a visioning presentation with their club where Bob or I would go and present the overview of visioning to your club so that you can demonstrate the benefits, and the club buys in and provides ownership to that process. Then after the club decides to conduct the visioning, then you would send an email to Bob and I so that we could engage the other team members in the visioning committee so that we could schedule one of your three top choices and go over what the other visioning requirements were.
So what you're talking about is you're really addressing the entire club. You're inviting the entire club to participate in a visioning. So doing a club program lets your club members know what the visioning process is and why they would want to do it. Is that what I just heard?
Yes, thank you, Vicki. Very succinct.
Great. Thank you. All right. So I want to thank you, Bob, Barbara, and Gail, so much for being with us today, and also for our attendees for being with us today. Let's see, did we get another question? Okay, so the question, a follow-up question to the visioning, having a club program, that would be something scheduled with your program chair and would be a regular club meeting. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So Stephanie or whoever would be interested in having a visioning program for your club meeting would contact either you, Bob, or you, Barbara. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Great. So here we have the contact information. So for our attendees, so if you, let's see if we have another question.
And also, this information is also available on the website should you go there under the visioning co-chairs. So you can contact us in that manner as well.
Great.
I see another question.
Oh.
So how long is visioning?
Oh, good.
So I'll just answer that really quickly.
Okay,
sorry to interrupt you.
Please.
A typical visioning starts at 5 o'clock in the evening, and the scheduled time is 9 p.m., but generally, depending on the size of your club, we finish up around 8 or 8:30. If it's, pretty straightforward. We have done them on Saturdays, but find that the participation is much better if we do it on an evening. Thank you.
Great.
And just to follow up, Vicki, on that, the visioning is also basically no cost. There are some costs for the room, should you have a room that you need to pay for, or for the food for the evening.
Who attends? The whole club
On
for
the
visioning?
On the visioning, we look to a wide variety, and it's a larger group that attends the visioning. 15 to 25 people is a good number. We usually ask that you have your club leadership, your president, PE, or any other future presidents already selected. You want new members, members that have been in long standing, and also with age and diversity within your club that could show just the whole makeup of your club when you're preparing your visioning goals.
Thank you. Hope to see you all on another webinar soon. Good night.